resolved, and it's very happy. And then we started, we set the ball rolling of somewhat coming together to have a certain kind of a form of discussing on international relations over the years of such a kind of collaboration or relationship between the at least in the South Indian scholarships, those who are doing a research on international relations. In that way, I hope that this is the first efforts taken by Dr. Mayil Vahanan, and then I should particularly personally thank him for taking this spirit and then way. And I hope that we are nearing our scheduled time. So let me start by word that I am wondering of hearing all the exposures. But there is no even a single word of either Germany. I hope none of them pronounce the word Germany. So when I was hearing all the lectures, literally I was transferred 100 years back, probably in the early 20th century. Everywhere you can see that Germany was in everybody's lips. Even everybody talked about Germany, 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 and all these things. So now this Germany has been replaced by China. So now that's I'm wondering for in that way. So this is my first observations is regarding. So in that sense, Europe, it seems it has become a redundant. It seems it has lost its energy. It is no more a locomotive. And as a European scholar in this way, how I'm able to relate with the emerging scenario where we hardly find a mention of either Germany or Britain or France like these ones. So this is the first question that it has come up into my mind. The second thing about when we talk about the geopolitical, at least maybe Europe might have lost that kind of an energy of, or otherwise the interference in everyday events, politics, but the idea its way. So I see that Europe, that it is a very wonderful area of mind for ideas. For example, the geopolitical itself. The very word of geopolitics is, of course, all you may know very well. It is a German concept. A German concept. It's developed by in the field of political geography, particularly by Ratzel, and then it's the very famous political philosopher Carl Schmitt and all. So they developed Lebensraum, Grossraum, this kind of a word. That's the geopolitics. I think it is the very crucial, one of the very fundamental concepts of the early international relations, world politics. So it's much more. And later, how it's linked with the empire also. So now what I see today is probably that the actors might have changed. In the 1920s, probably that was the Germany. Probably in these 2020, probably it is the China. This is the way. And probably in the late 1940s in the Japan, then now there is the another China kind of a thing. So I can see that as an international, for my point always is that there is a continuity in the international, that is the idea, the intellectual idea. Unfortunately, as a scholarship of international relations, it gives a primacy to kind of a synchronized a study, but it lays a kind of a diachronic, that is a historical understanding in that way. So again, I'd like to say maybe the Europe lost its energy or maybe lost its relevance to the world politics as of now, but a lot more things in terms of an intellectual idea, particularly about discussing about the geopolitics. I would rather, on the basis of my understanding with the experiences of Europe, I rather see today it's very much relevance of the concept of the empire. Is there any, the empire will be a competition is a kind of what I can say, it is a competition. Competition is it is on a materialistic sense, but it's going on. Even India itself, probably that I would very much to introduce some of the young friends, scholars who are doing in international relations, I would rather ask them to read a book by Srikanta Sastry, a professor of history from the Mysore University. He wrote a very book in 1943 itself, titled about the geopolitics of India and Greater India. Even if possible, that I can read. It's a free piece. Whether I'll see. Yeah, I quote: India cannot afford to be indifferent to the wider question of an international world order. Before that, he says, in India, the immediate interest has centered around the problem of winning independence and preserving political unity. But India of an international world order and of the possibility of an Indian supranational union. Therefore, in the light of Indian tradition and history, it is pointed out that India's natural affinity is with those Eastern countries which once were a part of India's cultural empire. This is written in 1943. As a part of the entire East, as a part of a cultural empire of an India. Imagine that this has been written before even an independent Indian state itself. So he linked is a part of an independence of India, and at the same time an empire building size. Nowadays you may use a different nomenclature, jargons, maybe a soft power, hot power. I'll see in every terms that's a new kind of your jargon. But the issue is the very much same. What he has been saying from the right in 1943 itself is about a cultural empire. India is not only, its aim is not only to get an independent India. Simultaneously, it had to build a kind of a cultural empire with the East. This is the argument. This is the idea behind our international establishments is here. So, quite I'll see there is a continuity between the empire building exercise. What I am seeing here is, again, maybe the actors may be changed. They may change, is the same, and the dynamics, what I say, the geopolitical, or it's at the rate of at the level of regional or at the level of global, the dynamics is the very same. Okay, what else then? Okay, this is what that I would like to share. Otherwise, I will go more on self-reflective of about the study, because my point is very clear to complete. There is a continuity in these intellectual idea as a tradition, intellectual ideology as a tradition. Maybe a changes in the actors. Nowadays, we are giving much more importance to the events here and all the things. But what I'm asking you to look into, critically reflect about the concepts which actually drives to understand the kind of a paradigm of looking into that. The two more things, the geopolitical underpinnings, particularly the empire building exercise. For example, see, you can see a lot more, another example of how the Africa being treated in the 1920s as a part of the geopolitical exercise between Germany and then France and all the European countries. This is the same, exactly the same thing, I would rather say, as an European area studies specialist. I would rather see, I can draw a lot more parallel between what China is doing than what others have tried to do this kind of thing. Exactly the same kind of an African policy. So this is my critical reflections, but unfortunately, international relations scholarships, it's more towards an even based on the surface level, but instead of going into more self-reflective and the history of ideas. That is my point, and thank you for this opportunity.